Welcome back to We Need to Talk. Of course, this is the show that looks at football on the internet over the past, I think it's been like 3 days. So what is that, 72 hours? 72 hours that's seen Harry Redknapp still pining for Peter Odemwingie.
Yeah, where is he? I'm still trying to sign him. Where is he? He's supposed to be here. Where he's supposed to pull? He's pulled up out the wrong ground again, has he?
Marseille fans getting the club's game cancelled after attacking their own training centre. What? And Alphonso Davies attempting to crack an egg.
What's going on? What's going on? Here we go. You think I defeat me?
Anyway, today we need to talk about the January window. Okay, on Friday, you guys hit the like goal that basically meant I had to make this video. So today I'm going to be reviewing the biggest transfers over the past 28 days. Now, I'll be the first to admit it. The January window, it was... How would you describe it? But there was a bit of activity on deadline day and some fairly, I'd say, interesting moves throughout the month. So I've listed the biggest ones, pretty much all of them. I think there's a couple I haven't included because I don't even know who they are and I don't think they're even going to go into the first team. And I'm going to tier list them. You know the score by now. Let's just crack on. Alright, we're starting with Matty Ryan. Now, this was an interesting one because I think this was the most out-of-the-blue signing of the window. I don't think a single journalist had a sniff about this. Ornstein didn't have his ear pressed up against the glass at Arsenal's training ground near Matty Ryan. It just was so unexpected, but they did need a backup to Leno, didn't they? Because, you know, Runarsson. This is Runarsson in goal for Arsenal this season. That's a terrible joke. Fucking cut that out. But yeah, George Wright did text me and say if Leno got injured, we'd have been relegated. So that pretty much sums up their need for Matt Ryan. He might have the worst save percentage in the league, but he's a fine backup keeper. Nothing special. I'll put him tier 4. That wasn't Arsenal's only bit of business, though. Of course, they got Martin Erdegaard through the door. Really exciting signing, this one. I think it's extremely telling that Real Madrid fans were absolutely gutted to see him go. Of course, ripped up La Liga with Sociedad last season. It was meant to be a 2-year loan deal, and it was so good, Real Madrid recalled him. Then he got injured, and Zidane went, nah, not for me. Obviously, he was one of the most creative players in Europe last season. Bang up that photo of his radar, because it's absolutely ridiculous. And there is too much pressure on Emile Smith-Rowe to create everything for Arsenal. He's very young, can't ask him to play every minute of every game. Him and Erdegaard rotating. Chef's kiss. Tier 2. By the way, that would have been a tier 1 if there was an option to buy. No option to buy, no tier 1. Moving on to Morgan Sanson. Then, and I have to say I mugged myself off quite badly with this one when I was discussing rumours. I totally disrespected Morgan Sanson. I said I didn't think Aston Villa needed any midfielders. On the same day, Conor Hourihane joined Swansea. Nice. But no, Morgan Sanson, serious box-to-box midfielder, one of the best in Ligue 1 over the last few years. Villa are absolutely flying, as I said at the start. Marseille firmly in the mud, so it seems like a good move for the player. Seems like a cut price deal as well, because obviously Marseille were laughing at Villa, weren't they? £12 million bid. You sold him for 14 mil. You mugged yourselves right off. Seriously, that's embarrassing. I think Villas-Boas called the bid embarrassing. That's embarrassing. You're asking for 35 million for him 12 months ago. Shut your mouths. So I think it's a good move for the player. I think it's a really good signing for Aston Villa. Terrible having to sell him if you're Marseille. But yeah, this is probably a tier 2 signing too. Moises Caicedo is up next. And I haven't watched him loads, have I? I've watched a couple of Ecuador games that he's played in. But I did speak to a couple of South American kind of football journalists on Twitter. And they were saying he is fantastic, and £4 million could well be, a lot of them are saying could well be the signing of January. So I'm going to put him right up there because £4 million is cheap as chips. He's 19 years old. He's an Ecuadorian international. No wonder Brighton are absolutely buzzing. Box-to-box midfielder to play alongside Basuma with that much energy. This could be a really exciting transfer. I'm going to put him in tier 2 too. Tier 2, 2. Tier 2, 2. All right, we're moving to Crystal Palace then, where Jean-Philippe Mateta join the club. Now, Palace obviously needed a striker, didn't they? Benteke, Ayew, Batshuayi have scored 3 goals combined this season, I think, in the league. Just not good enough. They also have the oldest squad in Europe, Crystal Palace. So Mateta at just 23 years old looks like the right kind of addition. He likes to play with his back to goal as well, which I think is key for a Palace striker, because you've got to be able to bring Zaha and you've got to be able to bring Eze into the game. I think he's got 7 goals in 12 starts this season before this move. I think this is actually pretty positive. I don't think it's like Erdegaard levels, but I think Tier 3, with the potential of surprising a few people, potentially moving to Tier 2 over the next 6 months. Josh King got a deadline day move to Everton, and it's an interesting one because I remember saying and linking him with Burnley. I think I linked him with Fulham as well over the last few weeks on this show, and obviously the Burnley move didn't materialise. He very nearly joined Fulham, but I do think he's sort of that level, a team anywhere between relegation and 12th is where I think Josh King probably finds his home. I think Everton might just be a little bit of a step too far. But having said that, £5 million, not a huge risk. I think they needed a backup striker pretty badly. Obviously, Cenk Tosun's gone out the door. Moises Caicedo's on loan at PSG. I remember Bournemouth rejected £25 million from us this time last year. So this is fine. This is an alright backup move. Tier 3. Now, Fulham might have missed out on Josh King, but they did get Josh Maja. I rang up Doogie about this one. He was gutted to see him join Fulham. I think he's still a little bit bitter because, of course, he walked out on Sunderland and joined Bordeaux. He hasn't quite got going at Bordeaux, has he? He's done okay out there, but he is still very young. I've deferred this one to Dukester, though, because he said, 2 years ago would have been a very solid striker in the Championship. So if he's improved even a little bit, it could be a good move for Fulham. I'm going to put him middle of the pack just because I haven't seen him play at Bordeaux. Fulham were in need of a striker. Tier 3. Liverpool did plenty of deadline day business. Ben Davis was the first. He came in from Preston North End for, I think, £2 million. It's basically a risk-free signing this, but he is 25 years old. Matip's, of course, now out for the season, as well as Gomez and Van Dijk's. Absolutely insane. I don't think he's going to be a starter, Ben Davis. It's an amazing opportunity for him, but he's probably something of a backup. I'll put him into Tier 4. He wasn't the only defender they got through the door, though. They also got Kabak, didn't they? And I actually am incredibly impressed by this signing. I think it's a really interesting bit of business that could have massive upside and very little downside. He was so highly rated, wasn't he, when he left Stuttgart? I think he got relegated with Stuttgart, went to Schalke for €15 million. Now, they've obviously been horrendous Schalke, but I don't want to put the blame on a young central defender like Kabak entirely. The whole club has massive issues, and just because they're struggling doesn't immediately make him crap. He's very, very impressive, very highly rated, and to get him for, I think it's £1 million loan fee with an £18 million option to buy is totally risk-free. You're potentially signing one of the best under-21 centre-backs in Europe for pennies on the dollar. Michael Edwards, yet again, spinning his wonderful, magical wheel. I don't know how he gets these deals done, but this is just smart business. Tier 2. Joe Willock got a deadline day move to Newcastle, and Newcastle are crying out for some sort of creativity from midfield, aren't they? Especially if they're going to play that 4-3-3 that they played against Everton to great effect at the weekend. And he definitely provides energy in there. He's going to provide ball carrying ability, and quite frankly, he's going to create more than the current 3 Newcastle have in midfield, which is what? John Joe Shelvey, Isaac Hayden. Who else played there against Everton? 1 second. It was Jeff Hendrick. Sums it up. Now, I don't think he's going to be quite Arsenal grade. He might well prove me wrong, but I think this is also a good shop window for him. Middle of the pack. Decent move. Alright move all round. Tier 3. The next move might be my favourite of the window. It's Takumi Minamino to Southampton. I absolutely love it. Southampton were crying out for another forward to play alongside Ings and Che Adams, take a bit of workload and a bit of goal scoring off of those two. Minamino provides energy, provides creativity. If he can refine some of that Red Bull form, then this is going to be an incredibly adept bit of business. £500,000 for 6 months of Minamino. Just so smart. I can see him working so well under Hasenhüttl. I love it. Tier 2. Alright, Ainsley Maitland-Niles is up next. And this is a really tough one because I think for West Brom, this is actually a really good signing. But for the player, I think it's a pretty poor move. Personally, I'm really surprised that he was willing to drop down to West Bromwich Albion's level when he had offers on the table from Southampton. But we all know Maitland-Niles wants to play as a central midfielder. Southampton were only willing to kind of bring him in as a fullback come wing-back. West Brom may be more willing to give him opportunities in the centre of the park. However, having said that, to learn under Hasenhüttl or to learn under Allardyce. So yeah, if it's a 5 for the player and it's a 2 potentially for West Brom, let's meet in the middle. Let's put him into tier 3. Just a bit meh. They also managed to get Snodgrass through the door, and probably this is the most Sam Allardyce January signing ever. I think he'll be absolutely fine though. Probably create a couple of goals from set pieces, but he's not going to stave off the drop in my opinion. It's also an 18-month contract. I was a little bit surprised about that, so he will be with them in the Championship, where he'll probably be alright. But do you want to be stuck paying a 34-year-old's wages in the Championship? Maybe not, but they might have had a relegation clause in there. This is just a kind of boring move, isn't it? Tier 4. They also got Diallo through the door, and I thought he looked really lively when he came on against Fulham. They're obviously desperate for a forward. He got an assist in that game, so not a bad start. Bit of a journeyman, 29 years old. I think he's had 13 clubs in 8 countries now. So hopefully he finds his feet at West Brom, but it's just a gamble worth taking. Decent goal-scoring pedigree. Good start. Let's pop him into tier 3 alongside Maitland-Niles. Jesse Lingard also got a move, didn't he? And I quite like it. I think he'll probably eventually come into the team over Pablo Fornals, or at least battle with Fornals for that spot. He was never going to play at Manchester United over the course of the next 5 months. And I think his work rate will suit this Moyes side. Quite dogged, aren't they? If you can re-find a bit of that, I think it was 17-18 Jesse Lingard form, you might be able to get a few goals and assists out of him. But overall, 6 months, you are paying a bit for wage, 80 grand a week. It's not cheap, £2.5 million loan fee. Nevertheless, West Ham are trying to push for Europe. And if he just tips them over, then it's been a good bit of business, hasn't it? I'm tempted to put him into tier 2, you know. He might be the difference between 6th and 8th. But no, I'll put him into tier 3, just so I'm not being biased. Love you, Jesse. Willian Jose also in here then, and Wolves were obviously in desperate need of a striker. They've scored 21 goals this season. It's the same as Newcastle, and think how badly we've battered Newcastle over the last few weeks. And Willian Jose has been a pretty consistent performer at Sociedad. Nearly every season hitting 10 or more goals in La Liga. I think he's contributed to 5 before he left the club this season, so he was on course for that number again. And even if he gets 5 or 7 over the second half of the season, then this is a big result, isn't it? £22 million option to make the loan move permanent, and Spurs were bidding £25 million for him on a permanent deal last year. So this seems fine. This could easily end up in tier 2, but I'm going to put it tier 3 to start with, just because I'm not sure he's going to hit the ground running particularly well. Alright, so that was my tier list of January signings. I didn't do every single player, but I've tried to do the biggest moves, if you get me. If you disagree or you agree, let me know in the comments below. Please hit that like button if you want to see more episodes of We Need to Talk. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, hit subscribe. Thanks very much for watching. See you later.